Hello friends, welcome to our channel, where we unveil the darkest and most mystical secrets of the world. Turn on the lights if you're not afraid of the shadows, because today we venture to a place where Gothic spires pierce the sky and ancient legends whisper through dark rows of arches. This is the Cologne Cathedral, erected to house the relics of the three magi, shrouded in mysteries and terrifying tales. Brace yourself for stories that will send chills down your spine. For over 6 centuries, it stood unfinished, not merely for lack of funds or wars, but because something seemed to dwell within every stone, touching the hearts of architects and laborers. Hit subscribe if you want to uncover the truth hidden in the eternal shadows of this Gothic giant. Now, hold on tight. We begin. The year 1248, Cologne, a thriving trading hub on the Rhine. The citizens were not content with mere commerce. They dreamed of a cathedral to rival any in Christendom. Yet from the very first days, ominous rumors took hold. When the first cornerstone was laid, an old stonemason seer named Martin, renowned as a dark prophet, stepped forward and whispered, "This design is not for mortals. It is for demons." His words sparked outrage. The chief architect shouted him down, and townsfolk nearly beat Martin on the spot. But then, the very stone Martin stood upon cracked in two, without any external force, and the crowd fell silent. The cathedral was intended as a grand reliquary for the holy relics of the three magi, Cologne's most precious treasure. Officially, it was believed that anyone who failed to pray daily before these relics would incur the saints' wrath. Yet among the masons, whispered tales claimed the reliquary brought not only blessings, but a dreadful curse. By the 15th century, when construction ground to a halt, plague and unknown diseases ravaged the city. Physicians had no cure, but at night the streets filled with shadows, hunched figures with twisted backs and cluster-like heads. Builders swore these were the souls of the dead, delivering death wherever stones were hewn for the cathedral. Among those first to attempt the spire was Gerhard von Riel. His genius surpassed all, yet his ambition crossed mortal bounds. He sought secret knowledge, studied with alchemists along the Rhine, and whispered with a shadow over an unknown friar's tomb. One stormy night, lightning cleaving the sky, Gerhard entered the unfinished nave. From his satchel, he withdrew an ancient gypsum amulet and began chanting in a tongue unheard by mortal ears. The air trembled, stones seemed to hiss, and from the darkness emerged a towering figure with horns. The demon offered to complete the spire in one night in exchange for the architect's soul. Consumed by the hunger for renown, Gerhard agreed. By dawn, the full framework of the spire stood, and the townspeople gasped. Yet when Gerhard reached for the amulet, it burst into black flames and disintegrated, and the architect himself seemed to vanish into thin air. On a nearby slab, a blood-red stain appeared, still visible when the morning sun strikes it just so. Over the centuries, voices of blame turned to whispers of madness. Every subsequent master builder who dared ascend that spire either lost his mind or disappeared without a trace. One left a bleak note: "The stones speak, and they do not welcome me." When construction stalled for decades, new legends emerged, like the tale of a mother found entombed beneath one capital, there to save her child from the plague. A musician practicing the organ at night saw a figure in a black cloak drifting among the pillars. The woman's face was hollow, like the inside of an empty boot. She seemed to sense the presence of a child and remained exactly 3 minutes before dissolving into the wall. Visitors report glimpsing a knight in 15th century armor, standing silently by the sarcophagus of the Magi. He would touch the cold metal helmet and stare into nothingness, then vanish if anyone approached. Since installing automated lighting, cameras caught spheres of light dancing around the spires. Experts can't explain these flashes. They're not reflections, and no modern lamps create such an effect. Cologne Cathedral is more than stone and glass. It's a giant cipher encoded in patterns and shapes, hex signs on the main doors, intricate woven motifs believed to ward off evil spirits. Historians trace these patterns to 15th century folk magic in Western Europe. The pagan crypt. Beneath the foundation, archaeologists discovered remains of a Roman sacrificial altar. Legend says Roman priests offered human lives here to consecrate the Rhine's waters. Today it lies silent, but a few researchers claim they still smell incense in the air. The demonic stained glass panel. One mid-level window appears to depict a horned figure. Officially, it's stylized lilies, yet no botanist can explain the shape of those petals. Cosmological alignment. The twin spires are oriented toward three key constellations: Pleiades, Orion, and Taurus. On the winter solstice, their shadows cast a living pentagram on the floor. When Luftwaffe bombs rained down on Cologne, much of the city lay in ruins, yet the cathedral remained intact. Miracle or something else? Top secret orders from Nazi structural inspectors called for the demolition of monuments incongruent with Reich ideology. Yet surviving documents bear the stamp Critical Energy Nexus. What did they mean? No one knows. After the war, part of the cathedral treasury vanished. 2 silver reliquaries containing fragments of the Magus bones. Guards claimed everything was in place after an overnight watch. But by morning, the relics and 3 priests were gone. In 1947, subterranean chambers revealed a cache of Nazi occult manuscripts. They disappeared from the archives without a trace. In a narrow passage leading to the crypt once dwelled Brother Hartmann. His face was never seen. He always wore a black hood. Hartmann betrayed his order by stealing an ancient grimoire, and no one could fathom why he sought a book of spells. When captured, he only smiled and whispered, "This book is the key to those who stand beyond time." The monks sealed him in a wall niche. A week later, the stone was damp with black fluid, and muffled chanting echoed through the chapel. Since then, the black monk appears before calamity. Witnesses saw him before a great fire destroyed the pulpit, before a bishop's sudden death, and even before a devastating storm struck Cologne in 1999. A tourist photographing the interior without flash later recounted a shadow at her back extending a finger skyward. On her photo, a faint outline of a faceless figure appeared. In the 21st century, when science seemed to have answers for everything, it turned out even the best cameras and sensors couldn't explain these events. Security cameras record light pulses in the nave that don't match any known light source. One such pulse stalled a crane installing new lighting. Visitors hear echoes of voices in empty corridors. Sound waves so intense it feels like a crowd, yet no one's there. Many guests report strange beeping on their phones near the spires, as if signals are being jammed by an unseen force. Officially unconfirmed, archives hint at gatherings of masons and alchemists under the cathedral's cover of darkness. Archive experts found notes on 1720s night meetings. In the underground chambers, dark candles flared, masks of eagles and wolves adorned the faces of assembled, and Latin invocations filled the air. The all-seeing eye window, dismissed by restorers as a 19th century mistake, is viewed by some scholars as a coded signal to mystical lodges along the Rhine. Cologne Cathedral is not only a Gothic marvel, it is a space carved in stone where the past meets the beyond, where energies intertwine in an endless dance. And when you leave its shadow, remember, some doors remain open even when we fear to step through. If you've listened to these tales until the end, subscribe and ring the bell. Tell us in the comments which mystery you'd like us to unravel next. Thank you for staying with me to the very end. Stay safe and never forget, true secrets live in the shadows of history. Until our next mystical journey.